I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am soaring. I am flying. I am being everything I can be on this day and the next. I am. Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. Welcome to your weekly S.O.A.R Tarot report for today. What is today? The 23rd through the 29th of April of 2018. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's dive into the cards for this week and see how you are going to soar this week. Just looking at this at a glance, this is quite interesting. We have a couple of cards from last week that have actually popped up, and we have 4 court cards, which lets me know that this is going to be a very interesting week of powerful things. And also, there's going to be other people that really try to influence you this week for better and for worse. So I want you to be aware of that and be mindful of that this week, because we really do have a transformative, powerful week ahead. I will be making the weekly astrology video, and I normally don't work Mondays, but they asked me to work today, so I have the next couple of days off, but I still wanted to make sure I got these videos done. So this video, if it doesn't get uploaded like in the next few hours, it'll probably get uploaded later on this evening. Same with the weekly astrology video. I'll get that uploaded soon as well. But let's dive into the cards and see what we have and how you are going to soar this week. Alright, so the takeoff card is actually going to be the Six of Bows or the Six of Swords. This card usually speaks to travels and voyages. And what I like to think of this as is that it's really the inner journey. And really what I really like to think that this is that the people that transform the most this week, the people that really come more into their power or into their magic, are the people that did the inner journey, that did the inner work. This is really a time of integrity. We have all these energies in Capricorn right now. You know, we have Saturn here, Mars, Pluto. So this is really a time of integrity, and the people who are doing the spiritual work and just taking it step by step, day by day, but who are getting down and doing the work and getting things done. This is really speaking of how important the inner voyage is, how important inner travel is. And when I say that, I mean taking time to work on yourself, taking time to heal yourself, becoming aware of your tendencies, your triggers, how you act, how you react. The Six of Swords is going to be talking about that the people that do the inner work are those who are going to go on these travels. In this card, it shows these shamans, and they have this one, and they're in this boat floating in the sky, and this beautiful skyline behind them, right? They're in the city. So really, this is even more speaking about learning how to learning how to follow your own path in the middle of all of the bustling static, in the middle of all the bustling craziness. This card is really talking about following your own path and going on your own way, despite the fact that people, despite social media, despite, that stereotypical scene you'll see in movies where everyone's like walking in the city, whatever like that, and then it pans in on the one person who's like the main character. That's really what this is about. This is about kind of being okay with being that odd one out in the crowd, because you're doing the inner work, you're doing the inner spiritual work, and that's actually going to allow you to really fly and soar high this week, because it's going to let you meet up with people and situations that augment your reality and augment this higher spiritual nature that you are developing. And now we're really going to be coming into a time, especially when Uranus goes into Taurus, how we're going to be literally manifesting this great change, how we're literally going to be manifesting this revolution when it comes to what we value. Right now, what's in high value is inner work, taking care of ourselves, making sure that we are not reacting to situations and people in the old way. So this is really, I see it as a card of, spiritual inner travel. And the great thing about the bows is that it's associated with the air quality, with the air signs, the air element. So it is about communication and voice. So how are you communicating to yourself? How are you communicating with others? But more importantly, how are you communicating with yourselves? Because the only way that you're going to be able to go in that voyage and to go in that direction that you need to go in is if you're communicating to yourself in a positive and uplifting way. If you keep telling yourself, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to achieve this, well, maybe my parents are right, maybe my friends are right, maybe I'm not worthy, then you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be on this boat floating above in the sky. And then they're literally soaring, guys. They're literally soaring. So it's like, that's the way that you're going to soar this week, is by following your own path, okay? The fear in response to this that's going to come up from the takeoff, we actually have the Queen of Pentacles. And she has the bear behind her. The bear happens to be a totem animal of Taurus, right? And this makes sense. This is about really establishing these comforts and luxuries, but the bear is also a very strong creature of fertility and perseverance and being able to make it through. The bear, it follows its own path, and it's kind of has that Taurian energy where it's just like, it might be a little stubborn, but at the same time, it really enjoys the luxuries of its life. It's an animal that really speaks to the strength that comes from really, being who you are and recognizing your value. The Queen of Pentacles here is speaking of recognizing our value. It's speaking of the fear that's going to come up is that in the past, there were ways that it's speaking to actually low self-esteem. That's really what it is. The Queen of Pentacles, the reason why it's appearing in this fear spot is this fear that we aren't valuable, that we can't make it, that we're not worthy of the dreams that we want. We're not worthy of this voyage that we want to go on, that we're not even worthy of the healing. Venus is at the edge of Taurus right now. It's about to come into Gemini. But like I said, Uranus will be coming into Taurus in May. So this is really highlighting quite profoundly this shift in the way that we value ourselves. And the Queen of Pentacles appearing here, the Queen of Drums, is once again telling us and augmenting this card about go along with the beat of your own drum. Also, it's this fear that Mother Nature, and I feel the need to say this because I'm channeling this right now, I'm just feel the need to say this. There's this fear that a lot of us have that we have gone too far and that Mother Earth is going to backlash and take us all out. And there's this fear of connecting with her because there are some of us who feel that since we have gone so far, there's nothing we really can do, so we might as well continue along the same path. And that cannot be further from the truth because Mother Gaia needs us now more than ever. And Mother Gaia can sense a lot of us really do want to help this planet, help clean up the planet, and really make it a place that really, it's the paradise that we really are just striving for. Everyone's trying to get to heaven, but really this earth is such a beautiful paradise. It's already here. We have just created a society that is so out of tune with nature. So the Queen of Pentacles is also challenging us to confront our fears of becoming more at one with nature and to kind of get back to our roots, okay? The response to this fear and how we're going to react, we actually have the Ace of Cups with the Ace of Gemstones. So this is about really the way that we connect back to Mother Earth and we connect back to our inherent true value is by having the emotional intelligence to allow ourselves to experience the beautiful spectrum of life, but also to understand that when we when we feel whole within ourselves and our cup overfloweth, that's really how there's more abundance. That's how there's more to go around. Think about it. It's like in the world we have multiple rivers, and when these rivers flood, they create streams and tributaries, right? And these streams and these tributaries, and then they overflow, and we have floods, but the floods also bring abundance too. So a lot of times we have this subconscious thing going on where we feel like we can't fill up our own cup. We have to make sure everyone else's cup is filled up before we get to our own. But by the time we get there, we're emotionally exhausted, especially if you consider yourself an empath or a light worker. You're so busy focused on everyone else, you're not even connecting to your own self. You're not connecting to your own body, listening to your own body. We have to also realize that Taurus rules the body in many ways. I like to think of Taurus really as the toroidal field, so that energy, so that which you put out comes back. It's our manifestation energy. So if you put out these higher vibrational vibes, you're going to receive it. And not that you're not supposed to experience the negative, because like I said, this is emotion still. So we're supposed to experience the full spectrum. But what you want to do is that when you come up against the negative, you love it and appreciate it for what it is, but you learn to transmute it. You don't get stuck there. You don't allow it to drag you through the quicksand. Or, if anything, you just fall all the way through, and then you come out the other side, and maybe perhaps just renewed. So really that's what this is. That's in response. And like I said, you kind of want to go day by day. So this right here, this is going to be Monday. Speaking of the voyage, speaking of the spiritual journey, the spiritual inner journey. Tomorrow, Tuesday, it's going to be talking about fears, connecting back to ourselves, connecting back to our true value, connecting back to nature even. So tomorrow will be a very good day to go out into nature and do some meditation. Wednesday, we have, the Ace of Cups, asking us to, be easy with ourselves, to have that emotional intelligence to fill up our own cup today before we go out and try and heal the world, right? The next card in response to that is going to be the internal influences and our intuition, which we actually have the Strength card in reverse. So what we're going to be feeling is that we might be feeling a lack of strength this week because we have been so disconnected from nature. So many of us are disconnected from nature. So many of us are disconnected with our own inner journey because we've been living everyone else's story, or we've been trying to fulfill the story of our boss or something like that. Where really it's like you really want to come within yourself this week and find your strength again. Chiron just went into Aries, and it should probably hit, it's at 0 degrees still right now, but you will really begin to feel the shift of this once it hits 1 degree, and I have to look at it to see when it actually happens. I want to say it's this week. It's within the next week where Chiron officially gets to 1 degree, I believe. But right now, we are learning to find our individual strength. And we were so focused the past 8 years on spiritual strength and maintaining faith and maintaining trust in the universe. It was challenged heavily with Chiron there. But now that Chiron has moved into Aries, this is about our own personal strength and the actions that we take that are in line with who we are at our core, at the fundamentals of who we are. Now that Chiron has shifted out of Pisces, and it will go back into Pisces. It will retrograde back into Pisces. So we'll get that review period about how we connect to spirit. But really, it's going to be based off of our individual self and the strength that we can find in standing our ground on who we are, standing our ground on the actions that we take. Whether they're perceived as good or bad, we have to realize that no one is squeaky clean and no one is completely dark, okay? We have to realize that. But there's strength that comes from acknowledging who we are, acknowledging the actions that we have taken so we can really move forward in integrity, and then we can turn the strength card right side up. But there might be a challenge this week to where we might not be feeling as strong. But that's really this whole Chiron and Aries thing. That's really talking about, okay, yes, we have done these things in the past. We have reacted this way. We might have been a little bit impulsive with different things in the past. We might look back on our past today and be like, wow, I did some really naive, stupid things in the past. But that contributes to your growth and your expansion. So those are mainly the internal influences. The internal intuition is seeing that our strength might not be might not be where it is, but we really have to have the courage, because this also speaks to courage, to actually move forward. And the great thing about this is that it shows a bear crushing a drum. So we have to have the strength and the courage to crush drums and to crush tunes that have been floating throughout our inside, our internal story, our inner vessel, that no longer serve us. And this really is going to become from the influence of all these other people outside of us, the external influences. Like I said, we have 4 court cards. In fact, the remaining cards in this spread are court cards. So we have to have the strength to crush drums that are playing a tune that no longer resonate us, and to actually begin to play our own tune, to play to our own strengths. In response to that, the actions that we're going to take is actually interesting. The card that ended off last week's reading, we have the Page of Bows. So this is almost like a reinitiation back into how we really communicate our strength, our courage, and our value to the world. Because here we have this character who is literally flying. He's literally soaring. And I almost like to think of him as he's a magician. He's flying above this city, and it's like people probably have doubted him, have said that, no, you can't fly. You can't fly with the birds. You can't fly with the eagles and the falcons. But really, you can. So if you respond this week to discovering this lack of courage and strength within you, but also turn that into a superpower, you will actually learn how to fly high in situations this week, whereas in the past you might have responded in a not so high vibrational manner. You might respond in a way that reflects your old ego, your old behaviors that really keep you in this repetitive cycle where you don't really see the change in your life that you really want to see. The Page of Swords here is really speaking of, it's really speaking of this intellectual, I wanted to say intellectual intelligence, but it's really speaking to this mindfulness that while it is kind of a youthful energy, it's also speaking of, if you take all the other cards into consideration and you take care of yourself this week, you will have this mindfulness to you this week where you won't be as susceptible to any type of attacks that anyone tries to throw at you, mental, emotional. You'll be more open to the signs that the universe tries to show you because it's the air, so it's really about communication. And communication isn't just words. It's not just this. It's body movements. It comes in the form of music and symbols. And really, if you're open this week, you're going to see a lot of symbols. And it's not just going to be 1111. I know there's, in the spiritual community, you always see like this whole, oh, I saw 1111 today, or 222. And I see these numbers too. But if you're really on this path and you're really about it, you understand that the universe begins to communicate to you with very, very, very particular and intricate synchronicities that are tailored to you. 1111 and 222 and 333, that's for everyone. That's for everyone. That just gets you in the door, kind of. That just kind of gets you like a step in the door. You're not even fully through. But once you really begin to do this inner work, you will receive very, very intricate synchronicities. And if you have been about this life, you know what I'm talking about. How it's very particular and just specially tailored to you. That's how you know you'll be on the path, right? In response to this, what we're going to relax into is, once again, we have another card. We have the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Drums. It's in reverse. So what we're relaxing to is actually the acceptance of our craft. That's why it's reversed. So it's like, perhaps we have been worried that we're on the right path. Perhaps we've been worried that we can actually play our song and be out there. But this is really speaking about if we are open to receiving the messages from the universe this week, we really will come to see that our path is in line with our higher self, that we are being guided, that we can trust, and that while we have made decisions and actions in the past that might have not been of the highest spiritual nature, and we all have done this, but it was necessary for this moment. It was necessary for your evolution. It was necessary to get you to this point, right? So we shouldn't be upset at the past. In fact, we should embrace the past. One of my practices that I do is actually, I don't do it like every day, but I'll do it where it's like I'll send messages back to my former self, where if I'm thinking of like a particular time, I will actually kind of just like communicate to myself. And I got this idea from Interstellar. It's pretty much about saving yourself. You become your own guardian angel. You can go back and speak to the 10-year-old you, and you can communicate to your 10-year-old you right now, and then like it changes the past in a way, but it's like it allows you to reclaim aspects of yourself that you thought were lost. So This card right here is speaking of us relaxing into who we are and relaxing into our path, relaxing into the beat of our own drum and appreciating it and loving it and accepting us for who we are and learning to value it more. Venus will be slipping into Gemini later this week too. So, and we're going to have, well, there's the conjunction, I believe, of Mars to Pluto too this week. So this is really a super powerful transformative week. And speaking of Mars conjunct Pluto, I really believe that that's what this card is talking about. This is the Queen of Rods. This is like the overall like conclusion of this week, the overall like message and the awareness that comes up is we actually have this Queen of Fire, right? Look how she's holding this snake, right? And it almost seems a little, you know, demonic in a sense, but really what this is speaking of is us embracing this creative feminine energy force that really allows us to push things forward and to really create things. That's almost going to be like, or really you can meet a Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius this week that really opens up your eyes by the end of the week, because that's going to be on Sunday. So don't be surprised that if you go throughout this week and you take care of yourself, you connect to nature, you find your inner strength, you continue to communicate your truth, and you stand on your truth, you stand on your vision, you stand on the beat of who you are, your rhythm, you're going to come into this creative download that the Queen of Wands is going to give to you this week. That's really going to open up this reality of like you really can create life in the way that you want, and it really can be as magical as it looks. The Queen of Wands, she doesn't play, you know, she goes after what she wants, she gets things done. You know, look at her hair, man, it's on fire. So you will be on fire this week, and this is really, since, you know, we have two queens and we have two pages, I think it's really interesting how that happened. And I think it's even more interesting how on the feminine side we have the earth element, we have the drums on the feminine side of the S.O.A.R, and then on the other side of the S.O.A.R we have the air and fire, which is more masculine energy. But despite the fact that we still do get the Queen of Wands here, so it's talking about learning to be receptive to our creativity, right? That's what it's really about. And learning to be receptive to this truth that source is within all of us, and that we really have this ability to really heal ourselves in such a profound way that we can go out into the world and we can radiate this love outwards. We can radiate this creativity outwards. So this week, though, since there are court cards, there are going to be different influences coming at you this week, different people, different situations. So this week, really what you want to do is you want to hold fast to your truth. Hold fast to your truth. Hold fast to your truth. Just regardless of what other people say, and some people are going to come to your aid this week. Some people are going to help you this week. But do not be surprised if some people try to come at you this week and really project their shadows onto you this week. Don't be surprised if people really try to gaslight you this week, because you're living in your truth. You're doing what you came here to do, and people aren't going to understand it, but that's just because they're out of tune with their own beat. They're out of tune with the rhythm of their soul. They're out of tune with their own strength, their own superpowers. And really, you don't want to, you don't want to judge these people. You want to embrace them in the sense that you're like, it's okay, fellow brother, fellow sister. I know that you might be out of beat and out of sync, but I assure you that one day you will be. And it's okay. Not everyone's ready for the path. So don't be surprised. You might even feel this week that you might be trying to help certain people and they're just not getting it. Let those people come to you this week. Don't really go out trying to heal the world this week. Really focus on yourself. Focus on your inner world. Focus on those inner travels. And you're going to radiate that love outwards. If you do, you'll have that emotional intelligence, that mental intelligence to really move throughout this week. And by the end of it, you're going to receive this creative download of really how to create the next 6 months, because we do have the full moon in Scorpio coming up, and we'll see the manifestation of that once we hit Scorpio season. It's going to be really powerful, really amazing. And that's how you're going to soar this week. And just to give you a little bit more of a tidbit, the card on the bottom of the deck was actually the Ace of Swords. So this really is about communicating your truth, regardless of how people may feel about it. You know, regardless of how people may feel about it, communicate your truth. You want to kind of maintain a level of detachment this week, in the sense that you take care of yourself emotionally, but at the same time, you don't get completely emotionally invested in other people if they're not understanding your path and who you are. You don't want to get so caught up, but you still want to communicate your truth. You want to communicate your value, and you want to communicate your strength this week. And that is your S.O.A.R tarot reading for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And you can follow the link to my website below, the Aquarian Adepts, if you would like a personal reading with me. And of course, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.